Tax season has come and gone, but the issue of taxes is always a big one here on Capitol Square. Ohio collects billions of dollars every year in taxes, and the person in charge of kind of managing that whole process is the state tax commissioner, Joe Testa. He joins us today in our caucus conversation. Commissioner, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, John. Good to be here.
You are the 18th person to lead the Department of Taxation.
No, it seems like only yesterday.
Well, tell everybody just a little bit about, I know that you're a pretty accomplished individual. You here in Franklin County were county auditor.
Yes.
You've been a professor. Tell everybody who Joe Testa is.
You just said it. Yeah, I was county auditor in Franklin County for 17 years, and I have taught classes at Fisher College of Business, Ohio State University, for a number of years as well, management classes, things like that. So yeah, done a few things.
One of the big things we've talked about here at the Senate particularly has been our focus on the legislature, job creation, economic growth.
Yes.
That's been our big thing. And a major part of that was the historic tax cut. And actually over the last couple of budgets, we've done more than $3 billion in tax cuts.
Yes.
That's a big number. Talk about what that means for the average Ohioan.
Well, it's in several pieces, as you know. The personal income tax reduction obviously touches us all. Another which may not seem as direct, and that is the small business piece. You know, the governor felt very strongly that we needed to do something to help incentivize small business, because a lot of the tax reforms that have taken place over recent years has really been focused on much larger organizations, manufacturing, and so on. So we really wanted to do that. So that's a big part of it. That's 1.6 billion of the 2.7 is the small business piece. And what that does is that reduces the taxes that a small business person has to pay because of this deduction that we now allow, capped at $250,000 per person. So that's pretty significant. When we talk to small business people, they're very excited about it now. Now the tax season, as you just mentioned, is officially closed, although we have extensions and so on to go on all year long. But the major part of it is done, and they really saw it. You know, they sat down with their accountants and see what their tax liability actually was, much less than they thought it might be. So those are good things. That puts dollars right back in the hands, or keeps dollars in the hands of small business people who can utilize them to help grow their business, maybe hire another person, you know, help us with job creation and so on. So we really think it's a pretty big deal in terms of helping the economic engine of the state.
Yeah, the critics would say, you know, well, this isn't really a big enough tax cut to hire lots of people, but you just kind of said it. When you talk about investing back in the business, whether you're buying a new piece of equipment or you do have the ability to maybe bring on an extra worker or two, there's kind of this, you know, long tail effect of maybe it's not you hiring somebody, but it's the piece of equipment you buy, and it's the equipment manufacturer that then can employ more people because they're building more products.
That's right, and just efficiency. I mean, the people who purchase a piece of equipment. We did a presentation at a veterinary clinic a couple months ago, and that was one. Her issue was that with this and other things, we'll get to another subject maybe in a second. More money in their pockets, they're able to take that and tie it with other dollars that they may have had to aggregate it, and now buy a piece of equipment that makes them more efficient, provides better service to their customers, which means that they have a stronger customer base, more profitability. Now they can hire another person. So I mean, it is a cumulative kind of thing. Plus, you know, many people, because of the slight upturn in certain areas, particularly certain industries, that they're able to turn maybe a part-time person into a full-time person and things like that. So all of that helps. And when you're talking about the hundreds of thousands of small businesses in this state, every little bit really makes a big difference when you put it all together.
Obviously, this is about being competitive, attracting business.
Yes, very much so.
Where does Ohio stand right now in comparison to other states, particularly those that would be in our region, maybe what people would think are direct competitors?
You know, John, you draw a distinction between, should draw a distinction between the sort of the business taxes. On the business side, particularly now with the small business piece, we're pretty competitive. The state has done some really good things. So tax reform in the past, corporate franchise tax is gone. Tangible personal property tax is gone, estate tax is gone. I mean, there's a lot of great things that have happened helping both individuals and larger businesses, and now the small business piece that I just talked about. The one area that we're still weak, and that is on personal income tax. We're still way too high. You know, we have people are paying, I mean, our top rate is still almost 6%. We took it down from 5.9 down to about 5.3 with what we have right now. The governor wants to drive it down below 5. He'd like to get it lower than that, but you know, for what we just put into the MBR, try to get down below 5. That's just part of it. Remember, in Ohio, we have municipal income tax, school district income tax, and you pay income tax both where you work and where you live. You know, so you put all those together, depending on what reciprocity your residential city allows, how much credit they allow for what you paid at work. Got people paying 10, 11%, north of 11% in this state on personal income tax, in addition to the federal. That's way too high. That's anti-competitive, and we recognize that. Lots of economists will weigh in on that. We've read lots of studies, seen lots of reports on that kind of thing. We need to drive that down. That's why the governor is a single-minded focus in regarding tax, driving that personal income tax rate down, because it's not competitive. There's lots of studies I could talk about that they'll clearly show that those states with lower personal income tax do better, have done better in the last 10, 20 years, and are still doing better than Ohio today. We need to drive that one down. So that's really a focal point for us.
There was a long-standing policy in the state where when there were businesses that inadvertently overpaid on their taxes, it was just kind of a quiet, you gave us the money, so we're going to keep it. Probably not the right thing to do.
Not at all. Not at all.
You kind of uncovered that. There's the process now, and I know we're starting to refund that money back to Ohio businesses. Lots and lots of money too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, John, this was quite a startling revelation to me when this came to my desk. About a year and a half ago now, when we first got started, when I first found out that this had existed. Again, I draw a big distinction between the personal income tax side and the business taxes. On the personal income tax side, the tax department has always done, for many, many years, done an excellent job of getting the refunds back to you as an individual just as quickly as possible. The computer systems, the tax returns, the mentality, everything is focused in that direction. They've really done well with that, historically done well with that. Not so much on the business side. I mean, there are some exceptions, but many of the big taxes, sales tax, employer withholding, you know, corporate franchise, these taxes, the law heretofore, I'm going to talk about that one more second because we have some bills to fix this, has not required the tax commissioner to notify a business when they've overpaid their tax. And since that is the state of the law, unfortunately, for many, many decades, and we don't even know how far back it started, the tax department, when people overpaid their businesses, overpaid their sales tax or whatever it was, corporate franchise tax, they didn't tell them. And they just kept it. And the statute of limitations is 4 years on most taxes. After 4 years, even if we figure it out, you can't get it. So what has happened is that these accounts have just built and built and built. When we discovered this, we determined about $30 million still within statute that belongs in the pockets of business people, not in the state treasury. So we started the process of going through account by account by account. This is a big job because you have to reconcile every single one. There's tens of thousands of these things. Reconcile each one manually to make sure that everything is accounted for, and then at the end of that day say, okay, this company is really entitled to X dollars refund plus interest. So we have to calculate interest, obviously, because that's the law as well, and give them a check and give them interest as well. We have been drilling down through those. We're somewhere in the 25 million or so of that's been distributed so far. So we're getting close. The last ones are tougher because we send notices out to people and they just disappear. That we don't hear back from them. You know,
be a
that
business
kind of
that's not
in
existence
moved,
anymore.
All kinds of things like that. So some of those are still problematic in terms of resolving them. So we are moving that forward. It is clearly the right thing to do. First of all, John, and then second, though, it is a really smart thing to do because those dollars are going to do Ohio a whole lot more good in the pockets of business people than in the state treasury. And so that's just smart. It helps the economy grow much faster, much stronger than if it stayed in the state treasury and spent someplace else. You know, we don't want that.
And we have legislation that would make that permanent, right?
We have two bills, Senate Bill 263 and House Bill 402, if I recall the numbers right. And companion bills went into the House and Senate. They both passed unanimously. how many bills passed unanimously. I was really excited about that. Then they have to cross houses, of course, as you know, and then one of them has to get passed in the second house. We expect that to fly through. Governor's got his pen ready. He's ready to sign it. And then, again, the important thing with that bill, either of those bills, is that it will make it permanent, so that we can never go back.
Commissioner, thanks so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
Very welcome. Thanks.
And thank you all for joining us as well. As always, you can keep up to date with us every day on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. The address is at Ohio Senate GOP, or visit our website, ohiosenate.gov/Republicans. Thanks for watching.